Hello everyone, we have some very large news to talk about. A new campaign for Total War Warhammer 2 in 1. So we do know about a combined campaign that we'll be seeing later on. And I'm going to tell you a lot of the information here that you need to know about. I want to get through all of the fluff just so that we can get straight to the information. So over here he's just kind of talking about their plans, about what they want to do, and about how they want a very complete experience for Warhammer Fantasy Battle based upon all of the 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy armies. Let's go down real quick. So they have 5 campaigns that they'll be building for every Warhammer game. So we have one in Warhammer 1 called the Old World. I have the Vortex for Warhammer 2. Then you'll have a combined campaign for the game. That'll be called Mortal Empires, and that'll be a free campaign for the owners of parts 1 and 2. Let's go look over here. Mortal Empires will sit alongside the Old World and Eye of the Vortex as an epic fantasy strategy experience, a playable campaign in its own right, accessed through the Warhammer 2 menu. We'll be taking the iconic territory of the Old World, you know from the first game, and expanding it outwards to the west, taking in key territories from Lustria to Southlands, Nagaroth, and Ulthuan to massively expand a playable area. It's not a straight stitch and fit job, and it can't be. The Old World and Eye of the Vortex campaign maps are designed to be standalone. They're different shapes and don't fit together. Also, no Vortex story mechanics here. This is a pure conquest. With all the playable races and factions we've released so far, plus a ton of AI-controlled ones vying for dominance across the continents. So that means they'll be remaking all of that so that it can properly fit. I don't think we'll be back in the Old World for quite some time. I'm sure a lot of us will just be playing Mortal Empires from now on if we want to get back to the Old World content, which is when I'll definitely be going back to it for sure. Let's go look over here. So, for Warhammer 3, we've got a main campaign for that. For a very big campaign at the very end, that'll be for all 3 games. You'll have to own all 3 to have that free campaign. They don't have a name for it yet. In terms of content, Mortal Empires is way denser than we'd initially envisaged back in 2013. I actually don't know how to pronounce that word. I have not heard that word read aloud in my life. Anyway, I'll look it up later. When we were in pre-production for the first game, that's thanks in part to our new content team headed by the ever-cheery Rich Aldridge, whose small but insanely talented crew have contributed to massively more playable factions per square mile in the Old World, and therefore in Mortal Empires, than we'd originally imagined. New factions for all those original Old World races, Clan Angron, Crooked Moon, Bloody Hands, and all the rest, plus 3 new races in Bretonnia, Wood Elves, and Beastmen, each with their own sub-factions and start positions. Factor in what the core Warhammer team has been working on for the last year and a half. 4 new races, that's 8 more legendary lords and start positions with eye-poppingly different mechanics and playstyles for Warhammer 2. Right. So for Mortal Empires, we've got 35 legendary lords across 25 different starting positions. Let's keep on going down. What's more, Mortal Empires will carry over many of the features of Warhammer 2's Eye of the Vortex campaign, which is a very good call to me. You may have seen us talking about in recent months. These include rogue armies, ranged breath attacks for all dragons, treasure hunting, encounters at sea, storms, shallows, and reefs, a whacking great number of UI refinements and improvements, 8 and 10 slot cities, choke point maps, and of course universal territory capture and climate suitability mechanics. Everything here is exactly what Warhammer 1 has needed. Choke point maps are very important, they're a lot of fun to play on, and we needed to just be able to capture lands wherever we want to. That's really cool to me. I liked it a lot. Size-wise, Mortal Empires is over twice as big as the Old World in terms of settlement count. Again, to be clear, this isn't the Old World and New World maps stitched together. We wanted to put gameplay and replayability first, so it's effectively a new map in its own right. Here's some stats here. So in the Old World here, we got only 142 settlements. Starting faction count, 66. In Mortal Empires, we have 295 settlements and 117 starting factions. That's insane, and I'm looking forward to it. Let's go down a little bit more. Even as the final shine goes into Warhammer 2, we have our top men dedicated to playtesting, balancing, and polishing Mortal Empires, and all the playable races are being put through the ringer. Our key objectives are gameplay, balance, and a huge variety of factional experiences and sheer density of content across a massive world map. We're also very mindful of the range of hardware specs people play our games on, so it's good for those of you who have potato computers. Let's go down real quick. There's a couple of additional things we should mention about this free campaign map in advance. The massive number of factions will increase in turn times, and there's no getting around it. We'll be keeping an eye on this through our testing, and when it gets into players' hands, keeping the general hardware impact of such a large impact map in mind. We're being ambitious with Mortal Empires, but we're keen to hear feedback, and we'll certainly make tweaks and updates to it over time. As you've probably guessed, given the countless updates we made to Warhammer 1, we will always look to improve on what we've done, and there's no substitute for getting it out in the wild and played by hundreds of thousands of people. Over time, for example, we're aiming to create unique starting positions for more of the Old World legendary lords who currently share the same spot. Like pretty much every part of the series so far, Mortal Empires will evolve. Also, due to the different teams' development schedules, Norska won't make it into Mortal Empires when it first becomes available. They'll arrive in a patch soon afterwards. But we'd much rather release Mortal Empires to you sooner and get Norska implemented in due course, which will then take the Lord start position count to 3727. Regardless, this massive evolving campaign, which will get richer again with more DLC and free DLC for part 2, is a tremendous amount of fun to play. Cool. I don't know what they're going to hint at over here. We can have a little discussion about that. And a final word on the name. We know that not all the empires and characters featured in Mortal Empires are mortal in the truest sense of the word, but compared with that, or with what may be stirring on that distant horizon. Ooh, foreboding. So here's our little free DLC content over here, or our DLC plan. We got a new legendary lord after that for the Skaven, it looks like. A new one for the High Elves, which I hope will be, maybe, Eltharion would be very cool, or even Aneth Anar for the Shadow Warriors of Naggarond. And then a new legendary lord for the Skaven. I don't know what this means over here. A new experiment. No idea. What do you think that means? I don't actually know. A new unit? No idea. Anyway, I'm very excited about the new news. It's very cool. It's adding in all the fixes that I really like in Warhammer 2. I've been able to play it a lot. I've been playing it on Legendary to get a real feel for the difficulty. The combat feels so much better. They added in a new thing, or they tweaked a new thing. If you didn't know, you would have expendable units in Game 1. If they broke, that type of leadership penalty that you would get from them fleeing would impact everyone. And so bringing fodder was actually kind of an issue for you. It would cause your army to break quickly, whereas now it'll only impact other expendable units, which means that your elites will stay on the battle and fight. If you have peasantry for Bretonnia, it shouldn't impact that they're breaking. If you're using Grell Knights, they should be like, whatever, they're peasants, they're stupid, let them die. So now you can actually have battles that play out for a much longer period of time. And the flow to combat feels much better too. It lasts longer. You still have your units that break and flee, but they come back. The maps are more interesting from what I can tell. I haven't gotten to too many like really boring flat maps yet. If there are more of those, I don't know. But there's a lot of more interesting maps like choke point maps and all of that, which really forces you to think about how you proceed. So I'm glad they've taken Warhammer 1, but they're actually making it feel like Warhammer. I feel like the Empire needs a complete overhaul still. They need new mechanics for a lot of those factions. And look, I get it. There's a lot of work to be done there, a lot of things that they need to fix, but we even have a mod for Warhammer 1 and the Empire called Legitimacy, where you can earn that new type of resource to spend it on actions, which is really cool. And so yeah, we've got a really cool campaign coming out. If I play anything for the old world, it'll be whenever Mortal Empires comes out. And so that's really all I really have to share about it. I'm really interested in seeing how the game will play out now that we should be able to conquer what I assume is to be anywhere. That should make things much better. I mean, just because it's a dwarven hold doesn't mean that humans should be able to make use of it. If we're actually going out and conquering out of our norms, we should be able to make use of whatever that we want. That should be the norm. That should be regular. But yeah, so to let you know, I do have a Discord community link down below. You can discuss things down there in the future when there are multiplayer games to play, like Holdfast, which is kind of like a spiritual successor to Napoleonic Warfare. Then we'll be having games on there most likely and all that. So come check it out. It's a great way to interact with me, ask me questions. I do have a little AMA board on there where people can ask me things all the time, anytime. So thank you for watching. If you want a more detailed video in the future, let me know, and look forward to more content from me in the future. And as always, until then.